as a kid, I can remember going to Duxi, learning the Quran as a kid in my neighborhood in Somalia. And that did not last, unfortunately, long enough for me to experience a lot of things in Somalia. So the civil war broke up in 1992 when we left for Kenya and came to the refugee camp. I stayed there for about 20 years almost. I still have some of my family members, some of my siblings that live in the Dadaab refugee camp. And I started going to school, started from what I would consider as a kindergarten, which lasted for only one day, because I had to test out the following day by taking the alphabet test, and which, for your information, we didn't do that on a piece of paper, but I had to type it out on the floor in the dark. That first day of kindergarten type setup was under a tree. It wasn't a formal structure, it wasn't in a classroom, but it was under a tree. But then the following day, when I went to the first grade class, that was better than going under the tree, but it was still walls that were made from branches of trees, with dirt and all that. So, but it had 4 walls, and we considered that as a classroom. Coming to the United States was not a thing that just came up one day and it just ended up like that, but it really was a thorough process that did involve multi-agency processing that's used by the United Nations that do refugee sponsoring to United States. So I was resettled to United States as a refugee through United Nations High Commission for Refugees. It was really a process that took quite about 2 years, I would say. I was notified that I would be going to Houston, Texas. So I had an uncle that lived in Wilmer at the time. I got his contacts, and he asked me if he wanted me to transfer to Wilmer, but I told him I will first do my own analysis as to what Texas looks like and how it's going to play out for me, and I had to go to Texas in that situation and stayed in Houston for about 5 months. I was taken to a neighborhood that was used to resettle or rather make the first home for new immigrants from all over the world. Almost everyone that I talked to would tell me back no English when I talked to them. So that was really a real culture shock for me, because at one point I thought maybe I landed up in the wrong destination. Maybe this is not United States. I came to Wilmer July 1st of 2009. I was working out from the middle school, and I went back in the year 2010, June of 2010, to Kenya, and I got married with my wife over there, and I stayed for about 3 months there. Before everything was finalized, we had our firstborn that was born in Kenya on March of 2011, and then I had to do the petitioning for both my wife and son, and finally I managed to bring them down here. I'm connected in the community in different ways. I am part of board members for 2 organizations, for WMBC, which Wilmer Area Multicultural Business Center, and also for Family Promise of Kennesaw County. I'm also on the folks that are working on Vision 2040 for Wilmer Lakes area. So that has really been some of the things that I can say during my time in Wilmer have really been a good one.